Okay, first one. Pineapple on pizza, totally fine or a crime? What do you think, Gatti?
I mean, the word crime is a big word, right? But I think it deserves it. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a crime. So please drop your verdict in the chat. Okay, while the jury's still out on that one, question number 2. Not counting this window, how many browser tabs do you have open right now? Okay, 4, wow. 12, wow, that's a lot. So I'm only asking because those tabs actually say something. Renewals, the conference, the newsletter, the board, that's a lot to handle on your own, right? And if this is something you can relate to, please type yes in the chat. There they come. Good. Good, because today my goal is to hand you a real way to cut down that to-do list. Okay, and one thing before we dive in, there's a special offer for the attendees at the end of this session. So make sure you stay with us all the way through. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome to Small Staff and Big Association. I'm Heijo and I'm a marketing lead here at Morningmate. Today we're joined by our CX manager, Gatti. The plan for today is we're going to start by looking at how association staff work today through 3 keywords: scattered, scratch, and slipping. Then we'll show you a live demo built on a real association case and how it solves all those 3 problems. And last but not least, for the first time anywhere, we're unveiling Repattern AI before it launches. And we'll wrap it up with the attendee parts. Let's get right into it. So part of our work is sitting down with association staff to help them fix their workflows, and they all come to us experiencing similar challenges. We have so many things to do, but we never have time, or we can't do our real job because of all the admin stuff. And this isn't just the few associations that we have talked to. In a survey of over 1,000 association and chamber professionals, the leaders named member engagement as their #1 priority. And their biggest challenge, in their own words, time, never enough time. And these are small teams. ASAE literally has a membership tier for associations with just 1 or 2 staff, and that's how normal small is in this world. So in other words, an association always has more work than people. So this isn't about you not being good at your job. It's the basic structure of how associations work. So we took all those worries we kept hearing and sorted them, and they kept landing in the same 3 buckets, which are our keywords of the day. Your work and information are scattered all over the place. Work you do every single year somehow starts from scratch every single year. And when terms end or staff move on, everything they knew leaks out with them, and that's slipping. So let's take them one at a time. First one is scattered, and this is the everyday one. You send out a notice to the committee, the board, and the members, and the moment you hit send, that's when the real work starts. You're making calls, sending texts, hi, about the email I sent last week, and then the replies come back. Some by email, some by text, some by phone. And because the replies are scattered, you get the next problem. Whoever received it now has to relay it to the right person. and that relay becomes its own job. Just look at one single day. Where things stand, who's seen what, and whose hands it's in now. When it's scattered, chasing everything down becomes the job itself. And this leads to real problems for associations. At one association, a member passed along the same request several times and it never reached the right person. So the member actually ended up filing a formal complaint. And it wasn't that anyone dropped the ball, but it was simply that the message had too many places to get lost. And the second one is Scratch. You probably already know what you'll be doing next March. And that's because associations run on a cycle, from renewal season, the annual meeting, and the big event. Same rhythm every year. But here's the strange part. It's work you do every year, and every year it starts like it's the first time. So last year's vendor quotes, last year's event schedule, what went wrong last time, you know that it all exists somewhere, but nobody knows where. So half of the preparation isn't actually work. It's hunting for your own memory. And think about it. How long does it usually take to find that one file from last year? 10 minutes? 30? And honestly, we all know how this one ends. After a while, most people just give up and make a new one. Every year. And the last one is slipping. Boards turn over every 2 or 3 years by the bylaws. And every time a new board member or committee chair arrives, someone has to bring them up to speed from the very beginning. Some of you are probably explaining a discussion that ended 3 months ago for the third time this year. And when a staff member leaves, the problem gets even bigger. The vendor context they knew, the negotiation history, the way they got their things done. When a person walks out that door, what they know walks out with them. So here's the thing about scattered, scratch, and slipping. This isn't just another hard day at work. It's a real cost to associations. Let's do one quick calculation together. The time you spend on these three, the check-in calls, the hunting for last year's files, the re-explaining, let's say that it takes about 5 hours per week. Over a year, that's 3 weeks of salary. So every year, your association is paying that much to relearn the things it already knew. And here's the part that really stings. If you got those days back, what could you do with them? You could plan one more member benefit, actually onboard your members, or meet 10 more sponsors. So you will be working on things your members can actually see and feel. So how do we get that time back? Let's look at how most of you might be working right now. A lot of associations run their notices and communication through a messenger app. And it's easy, but the decisions get buried in the conversation, nothing is really recorded, and you have no idea who's read what. So it's basically convenient today, but completely unfindable tomorrow. And as for the email and spreadsheets, that's the world of the three problems we just walked through, so I don't think I need to say more. Lastly, complex software. Work management and project management tools, they have a lot of features, great, but it takes forever to learn them, and in the end, most of the team never really uses it. And a system only some people can use is the same as no system at all. What an association needs isn't fancy features. It's an easy workspace with exactly the features you need and nothing more. So we have our two non-negotiables. Easy enough for everyone, and everything on the record. And this is the part where I introduce you guys to Morningmate. But instead of me just explaining what it is to you, I would rather just show you a day of real work. And for that, I'm handing you over to the best person for the job, Gatti. She works hands-on with hundreds of businesses, building their workspaces with them, so nobody knows what an association's workday looks like in Morningmate better than she does. Okay, Gatti, I'm gonna pass it to you. Please go ahead and take it over.
This is Sarah's association workspace. Let's take a quick look at how it's laid out. On the right, you will be able to see all of the project rooms. The board, the events committee, renewal season, chapters, sponsors, the members community, it's all here. You create a room per topic and invite only the people who need to be there. Inside of each room, tasks and updates will flow like a social feed. And you can switch the view to a list or a Gantt chart whenever you need. Quick discussions happen in the chat, and everything calling for Sarah's attention across all of these rooms will land in one unified notification feed. First task of the day is starting with this year's annual conference prep. And how would this have started before? Probably by digging through folders for last year's files and asking whoever ran it last year for some information. Unfortunately, most of the teams have to start from scratch and rebuild it because that information has been lost. But here's how it starts in Morningmate. Let's open last year's conference room. And as you can see, last year's schedule, the budget discussions, the vendor quotes comparison, the board approval, it's all still here, in order and exactly as it happened. The sponsor management tasks are here too. Logo placements, booth assignments, payment confirmations, it's all tracked as checklists. And the contracts are attached to the tasks themselves. So do we rebuild all of this from zero in this year's room? No, we take last year's key tasks, the prep checklist, sponsor management, vendor contracts, and just copy them straight into this year's room. Done. Look at that. The full task list, right down to the sub-items, are now in this year's room. 3 months of prep know-how was sitting inside those tasks all along. Now Sarah just needs to update the dates, set the owners, and get going. If this is work that you do every year, it should never start from a blank page. Conference prep means a lot of outside communication. The venue, the suppliers, and the agencies. But what if there's a venue company you've been working with since last year and all of a sudden they'll let you know that their account manager has changed? The old way would be to explain last year's terms all over again, dig through the inbox, and forward the old quotes. But now, we just need to invite the new rep into this year's conference room as a guest. You just type in his email address and that's it. Last year's contract terms and the quotes are already organized in the tasks. So the new rep reads them and picks up right where their predecessor left off. No long catch-up calls, and all of the back and forth from here on happens in this room. Oh, and one more thing. Guests are completely free no matter how many you invite. Vendors, chapter staff, anyone. Unlike the tools that charge you more for every collaborator you add, an organization like an association with lots of outside collaborators never gets penalized for it. And because that's possible, there's a pattern our association customers use a lot: chapters and members management. Realistically, a chapter is never going to roll out a tool like this on its own. So instead of HQ being the only ones working efficiently, it creates a room for each chapter and invites the chapter staff. HQ to chapter announcements, file sharing, issues updates, all running in one room and without the email chains. And if a chapter wants, they can go further. Invite their own members and run it as a chapter community room. With Morningmate, it's unlimited and free, no matter the headcount. That's what makes this picture possible. So let's imagine that right in the middle of a conference prep, the phone rings and it's a member inquiry, which you are not aware about. The old way would be to write an email or ping the right person. Then send a follow-up text because you have no idea whether they actually saw it. In Morningmate, you can turn it into a task and assign an owner. See, I've written up to the member's question, assigned the owner, and set up a due date. And look at that, the owner just read it. I got a notification that the task status has changed to progress. And inside, Jessica from membership has already logged what she did. She sent the member the information they asked for. That's the unified notification feed that we saw earlier doing its job. No more chasing people down asking if they actually got the information. And if that member calls back a week later, you can just open this task and the full handling history is right there. Anyone who picks up the phone can respond on the spot. Next up, we have the members communication. Let's open the member announcement room, and this is where the association's official notices go out. It's the renewal season, so let's take a look at the post about the renewal notice. You can see exactly who's read it and who hasn't by name. Instead of making confirmation calls, you just send one-click reminders to just the people who haven't read it. This is the feature that gets the biggest reaction in every association demo we run, because the problem was never really about who sent the notice, it was whether anyone actually saw it. And you can run this room however fits your association. Use it as an open announcement room, or you can set it so that members can't see each other. And each member can only talk with the admins. If your members are companies that shouldn't be visible to one another, this mode keeps everyone comfortable. And it's not just announcements, you can collect input here too. Say you're picking a date for the annual meeting. You can post a poll with the candidate dates. Members will answer in one click and the results tally themselves. No more collecting email replies and counting them in a spreadsheet. And this is yearly work too, right? So you can copy this year's renewal notice and meeting announcements next year, and that's next year's starting point. Last task of the day, a new committee chair has just taken office. Time to onboard them. How did this used to go? 1 day to compile the handover docs, days more to walk them through it, and even then you can't really transfer years of history. Things fall through the cracks. There is no such thing as a perfect handover. And 2 years later, when the next chair arrives, you do it all over again. Here's how it works now. We invite the new chair into the room where we worked with the previous one. They come in and read the past discussions, the decisions, the work in progress on their own. What was discussed this year and why it has been decided that way. It's all there. The person doesn't have to do the explaining. The record actually does. And this isn't just about chairs. A new staff member, it's exactly the same. Even if the predecessor is long gone, the room, it's the handover document itself. The association's memory used to reset with every change of hands. Now it's just going to keep on building.
Thanks, Gati. So that's Sarah's whole day done. I have one more question for the chat. If you've thought, I know our association should be using AI, I just don't know where to start in the past couple of months, let me know in the chat. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I mean, almost every association we meet says the same thing. So the honest answer to where do we start is not picking an AI tool. AI is only good as what it can read. That's why AI might have been giving you very generic answers because it's never met your association. It has nothing of yours to read. So the real starting point is giving AI something to read. And here's the good news. You've been looking at it for the last couple of minutes. The workspace Kati just showed you has been quietly stacking up exactly what AI needs. Your decisions, your conversations, and your records. If you've already tried chatbots like ChatGPT or Claude, you've done step 1. But a workspace like this with AI built in, that's step 2. So now I'll show you how it looks different when the AI actually knows your work with our Repattern AI. Say you're the incoming chair and you ask Repattern AI what items were under discussion during the previous chair's term that haven't been decided yet. This isn't a simple keyword search. It reads the records in this workspace and gives you a smart answer grounded in your association's own data. And Repattern AI doesn't just answer questions. It takes on work as well. If you look at the room's member list, you'll see that there's an AI agent sitting in there like a teammate. So when you create a task, you can just assign it to the AI agent. Let's say we give it a task like draft the annual meeting announcement. The agent reads what's accumulated in this room and posts the draft right on the task. So Sarah doesn't actually have to write anything from scratch. She just has to review its work. It's like adding a staff member without the hiring part. And on top of that, it lets you choose your model if you have a preference, like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and more. One more thing, because I know some of you might already have an AI you like. Maybe you've been using ChatGPT or Claude. You won't have to give that up when you use Repattern AI. Think about where your association's information lives. Member inquiries in email, dues records in a spreadsheet, schedules in a calendar. And the AI tools you already use can connect to those. But there's always been one piece missing, the work itself. The tasks, the decisions, the history. Well, you saw how Sarah built that today. So when your association runs in Morningmate, the work itself finally lives somewhere an AI can read. And starting in September with something called MCP, which is basically a way for AI tools to connect to your data, your AI can pull from Morningmate as well. So now when you ask your ChatGPT or your Claude a question, it can look across your email, your spreadsheet, your calendar, and your association's actual work. So what's still undecided from the last board meeting? What did we pay for the venue last year? It will no longer give you generic guesses because your AI finally gets the full picture, and Morningmate is the piece that completes it. It's basically a hub where your association's work trail lives. So how does your work change with Morningmate and Repattern AI? The time you spend running around checking scatter channels ends in one place. The yearly blank page starts from last year's instead. People leave, but the record stays. And AI reads that record to help you get more things done. I can guess what some of you might be thinking right about now. This all looks great, but moving my whole association onto a new system, that sounds like another project I don't have time for. And honestly, that's totally fair. We know that the hardest part of any new system isn't the tool, but it's getting started. So at Morningmate, we don't hand that part to a chatbot. One dedicated person from our team works with you directly from the first setup to full adoption to make it an easy and quick onboarding process for your entire association. Which brings me to today's perks. If you scan the QR code and leave a consultation request, you'll get two things. First, a free one-on-one onboarding session, which isn't going to be a sales meeting, but a working session where we set things up around your association. And second, the board one-pager. Convincing your board shouldn't be your job on top of everything else, so we made it for you so you can simply share. When you're filling out the form, you can check the box for our association co-marketing partnership program if you're interested as well. So that is it from us today. I hope today gave you a small hint of how you might run your association going forward. Kati and I will stay in the chat and answer every remaining question before we go. But thank you so much for spending this time with us, and we hope to see you in your workspace next.